Estimating. How do we do an estimate? So after multiple estimates, this is what I have come to find. During an estimate, there is very little, if any, information that you need from your client during an estimate. This is you talking to your client about what you do, and that is an estimate. I will explain. So you finally got your call for your client. You've done marketing and it finally paid off. Now they have asked you to come into their home and give them a price, unless they haven't, in which case they're asking you to do a cleaning sight unseen. And you let them know that that is not cool. And if you do agree to do so, please let the client know that the price will probably change when you arrive. Let them know that that's a high probability. Okay, and then let them know before you start cleaning so they can decide whether or not they would like to continue, because no one should ever do a cleaning sight unseen, ever. Okay, now that we're out of that. All right, so other than that, normal situation, you're doing an estimate, you're looking into the house proactively now that you've scheduled it, but before you show up. So Susie Joe now tells me that she lives at 1234 Parkwood Parkway, and I am now on Zillow looking up Parkwood Parkway. Why? Because I need to know her square footage, I need to know the bedrooms, and I need to know the bathrooms. Can you ask these? Sure. But you then open yourself up to, yes, I have 4 bedrooms, but you really only need to clean 3 of them. They're already worried about the prices that you're about to throw out from the moment they make the call, generally. Don't give them an option to backtrack on themselves, okay? Do the research ahead of time. Don't ask them these questions. So do pricing for the whole house. And then if you feel like there are multiple floors, do pricing for those. So I know that it helped us out a lot whenever we did, say, a 3-story home. Okay, so we would do proactively based on what we already know about the home via online. We did pricing for the whole house, pricing for the main floor plus all of the bathrooms, or pricing for the whole house and then maybe the basement every other week. These are the most common that we came across. So we started proactively getting these numbers in our heads and down on paper before showing up to the estimate. That way, if the whole house price was a little much to take in, the client had that option to still sign on with us and then be able to switch it up in a way that we already agreed with. Because when the client comes up with it, you're not going to agree with what the client wants, because the client is for the client. You need to be for you. And so you need to proactively have different options for the client so that they will still sign on with you and not go somewhere else. More than likely, what's going to happen is if they sign on with you and you're a good cleaner, they're going to end up doing their whole house anyway. It may just take a few cleanings, or they don't, and still you're at least not having to come out time that you're not getting paid for. So at this point, you've already done the research. Now it's time to do the estimate. Start with, you go to their house. When you go to their house, customarily, you don't park in their driveway. Now, granted, if their driveway is a half a mile long, if their driveway is more than the average length driveway, park in their driveway, who cares? But in a normal residential setting where their driveway is just a few feet long and a few feet wide, normally you want to leave that open, because there's nothing worse than getting blocked in by an incoming spouse, incoming kid, however it be. So park along the road outside of their house, and do not step in their grass. Everything that you do at this estimate is selling yourself. So there's nothing you want to be doing that's a sign of disrespect. So walking in grass is generally one of them. Some people really don't want you parking in their driveway, so I wouldn't. Also, do you know if your car is springing a leak? No, nobody really knows that until after it happens. There's literally nothing worse than your housekeeper leaving oil in your driveway for you to then have to clean up. So you're not probably getting that job if that happens. So let's go ahead and just knock that out ahead of time. Okay, off topic. So now that you're walking up, if you see any packages from Amazon or anything of that nature, it's completely up to you whether or not you want to pick those up. Some clients really appreciate, and that kind of gives them a kickstart, like, hey, this is my work ethic. I saw something that need to be done, and I'm picking this up and giving it to you. Other people, if you choose to leave that alone, for porch pirates are now a thing, so nobody wants to be accused of that. You're also more than welcome to do so. But generally, it goes over pretty well. When you go up to their door, know their name ahead of time. There's nothing worse than having to figure out via hints and clues around their house what their first name is. Do you have to know everything about this person? No, but know their first name and use it when you greet them. When you go in, it is COVID era, however it goes about. Wear the mask proactively, and more than likely, if they don't want you wearing the mask, they will say so. 9 times out of 10, they do say so. But there's nothing more awkward than a client wishing that you had a mask, but you didn't. So it kind of shows like a thoughtlessness and a lack of regard for their health and their safety, which is kind of the industry that we're in. So you really don't want to do that. Wear a mask. Also, with cleanliness and health and safety, a lot of these clients don't wear shoes in their homes. And there's also nothing worse than going through a client's home, every room of their home, wearing your shoes when they prefer that you wouldn't. Sometimes they're really nice and they won't say anything. And then, you come through and you start noticing the shoes by the door and you're like, was I supposed to take my shoes off? Well, yes, but it shows a sign of disrespect and lack for cleanliness. At least, even if you know they're going to want you to keep your shoes on, she's got 15 dogs and a horse inside of her house. Still ask. It's a sign of respect. I know that we finally started keeping like shoe guards, so we just bring them with us, and then they're really thin. You just put them in your pocket if you find the client doesn't want you to wear them. Again, it just shows a sign of respect. So the first thing that I do when I walk into a client's house is, hi, insert name here, Kathy. Shoes on or off? And from there, you've already started off well. Okay, so at this point, you use the key phrase. So what we're going to do is, if you want to show me around your house, and as we're going through, I'm going to show you what it is that you can expect from us. Also, while we're going through the house, if there's anything that you don't want us cleaning or would prefer that we not touch, please let me know. Also, does anyone in the house have allergies? Practice that line. Practice it over and over and over and over again. It is literally the most important part of the estimate. Why? I'll explain. So, if you'll notice, sorry, it was a long sentence, so we'll go about it piece by piece. If you'll notice, the first thing that I did was immediately after greeting her, I hit her with that sentence. This lets them know, I'm moving my laptop. This lets them know that this is my estimate. Okay, I've done this 150 times. I am a professional and I know what I'm doing. I own this estimate. So I understand this is your house, but this is my company. And if we let you talk, you haven't done estimates all day long and all week and all month long. And you are going to tell me what I'm going to do in my cleaning routine, which is going to mess up my routine and make me hate your home. So instead, I am going to show you what I do. That way you can understand that I make my own routine and it is a perfected routine and you will appreciate me once I've done it. I promise. So that is the part of, I'm going to have you show me around the house, and as you're showing me, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do. What you can expect from us. Okay? Not, so what would you like me to clean? No. No. First and foremost, a client probably doesn't want to have to tell you. They're concerned because they do have to tell you. And if they want to tell you, you don't want that client. Why? Because I guarantee you it's not what you do. It is some side project like reorganizing that is not included in a regular cleaning. It probably won't get paid for sufficiently, and it will drive you up the wall. And if she doesn't fire you, you'll fire yourself. Okay? Okay. Moving forward. Allergies. Why are allergies important? Well, obviously, if you have Kathy and Jane on the same day, and Kathy has cats and Jane has dogs, but Jane's allergic to cats and Kathy's allergic to... Either way, it's for pets most of the time. Okay. I don't think I've ever met anybody who was allergic to bleach. Maybe it's a thing, but you don't want to put someone who is allergic to dogs right after somebody who has 3 of them in their home, because you never know the severity of that allergy, and you don't want to be responsible for killing somebody despite your $1 million policy in insurance, which I certainly hope that you have. Moving on. That's why you asked that question. It's extremely important. So that information that they give you, say that they say, yes, I'm allergic to, Chihuahuas. You put that in the notes. While you are going around the house, you are taking notes. Do you think that you are going to remember all of the things that they say specifically about the house? No. But if your cleaning isn't 2 weeks or more after your estimate, are you probably going to forget all that they had said specifically? And are they going to get really angry because you completely forgot about the things that you guys had discussed, specifics about the house? Yeah, probably. So make sure that doesn't happen. If they have allergies, if there's things that they don't want you touching in their house, make sure that you make note of that. And you not only make note of it, but you make sure that everybody in your company who's going to be inside their home is well aware of it. Because it's one thing for them to tell you, but if you don't tell the rest of your cleaners, yay. Okay, so these are the kinds of things that you want to do. You want to have your cell phone open while you're taking while they're taking you through the house, so you can go ahead and write these notes in. So we are going through the estimate. Now the client is showing you all throughout the house, and while they're showing you the house, you are showing them what it is that you do. Everybody's cleaning is different, so of course everybody's going to be showing them different things. What I do is I start from the top and work my way down. And then I explain to them not a regular cleaning, but a deep cleaning, what they can expect from us on their first initial cleaning. And then past then, and we're still going to do this stuff on your regular maintenance cleanings as well. Now this, here in this room, we're going to start with this right here. Now we only detail that for the deep cleanings. Now I suggest sell it while you're there. Now, I suggest you do this about once every 2 months, just depending on how many people you have in the house and how many pets that you have in the home. So normally I suggest that we do 1 to 2 deep cleanings in a year. Go ahead and get that in their minds. They have to need that schedule. Is someone going to proactively schedule a deep clean from their regular housekeeper? No, they're going to keep on doing maintenance cleanings. But if you want that extra money, there you go. Deep cleaning. You now have not only a deep cleaning once, you now have a deep cleaning twice a year for all of your clients. Hi. Okay, sorry. That's besides the point. So also while you're going through the house, well, more like when you're going through the house or maybe even after, you want to go over all of the supplies that you use. Now, this is not just a matter of allergies for the clients. This is also oh God, don't do that. So I've had this housekeeper that used that material once, and it was absolutely awful. And I do not suggest it. So go ahead and proactively let them know all the materials that you have, because if they have an issue with any of those materials, these are the kinds of things that you need to know. Now, what kind of materials and how expensive are they? Generally, with most housekeepers, we try to keep it as cheap as possible, which is great. But for a lot of these houses, they require much more expensive materials. How do you mitigate that? Well, multiple ways to go about it. You can buy the materials yourself and include them in the price. This makes their price go higher. Or you can have your own set of materials, and anything that varies out of those materials, these are specialty cleaners, stainless steel polish, stovetop cleaner, specialty wood cleaners, specialty floor cleaners. These can always be purchased by the client, and just let them know, hey, no, that's perfectly fine. This is our list of materials. If there's anything in this list that you would prefer we not use, or anything that you want us using of yours, that's perfectly fine. Just have it available, or at least let us know where you store these things, and just make sure that they're always in stock so we can use them for you. So either have the client pay for them, or you pay for them and up the client's price. Either way it goes. With flooring, if it is any type of wood, any type of laminate, ask the client, do you know what your floor is? What do you use on your floor? One of the biggest complaints that people have is what a housekeeper uses on their floor. Now, for things like stone and peel and stick laminate, does it really matter if you use an all-purpose? No, it doesn't. But keep in mind, for these high-end laminate floorings and for real wood floor, it absolutely matters. And even worse, depending on what they've already used on their floor, is going to dictate the new chemical that you use, what it's going to look like afterwards. Is it now going to have a streaky, nasty film because they used, whatever it was? Yeah, there's a good chance of that. So always ask the client, what do you use on your flooring? So you can have in a mind what is going to happen when you use your cleaner. Look up what it's going to happen when you use, Mr. Clean on top of Bona. What's going to happen when you use Bruce on top of, Zep, We just don't know these things until we try them. If a client tells you that they want you to use Mop and Glow or any other type of wax polish, you need to have a disclaimer. That is fine, but there is an upcharge. When you use something like Mop and Glow or any kind of polish, keep in mind, you have to sweep and vacuum the floors first, then you have to mop the floor. Now you're polishing. This took you from a 2-step to a 3-step. It takes more time and it's a royal pain in the arse. So make sure that you are charging extra and the client is well aware of that. Also, do I suggest using any of the above? Absolutely not. You are going to ruin their floors. In fact, if they already use it, they've already ruined their floors. It now needs to be stripped. But these people, you can't tell them otherwise. People who love wax on their floor just love wax on their floor. So at this point, you've already talked about what you do. You've talked about the materials. They now understand everything. So at the end of the estimate, now you're to the talking phase. Hey, so let's talk about this for a minute. I have come up with this list just to kind of let you know what it is that you can expect from us. So here, just go over briefly. Do you need to go through every single policy? No, go through the important ones. Do you have a pet policy? Do you have a child policy? In your child policy, please make sure that you're not getting any kids off the bus. That is extremely important. If any client needs you to get their kid off the bus or expect you to babysit in any kind of manner, your insurance doesn't cover it. Now keep that in mind and it will totally screw up your schedule. Don't do it and let them know ahead of time that is not an option. Okay. All right. So other than that, pets, kids, keys. Let the client know how that you prefer to get in because you want to avoid holding keys for clients. If you have to hold a key for a client, you need to make sure that you have a key clause. Key clause being that your insurance company, which you should have a key clause in your insurance, check to make sure you don't, fix it if you don't, that if a key gets lost, that you will replace all of the locks on the doors. This kind of gives them a peace of mind. It should be in your insurance policy. Make sure to fix if it's not. Also, in your paperwork, you also need to have your pricing and you need to have how to pay, and they need to understand how you expect payment. This can cause you a lot of headache if your client doesn't understand how important and how the rules go in regards to money. If you expect money on the same day of service, you need to make sure the client understands that you do expect money on the same day of service. Are there any fees that you charge that are extra, such as a return check fee, such as a late fee, such as a cancellation fee? Do you still charge if they cancel for short notice? You should. If you don't, yes. These are the kinds of things that you need to include. Otherwise, if a client gets hit with a surprise charge, you're probably not going to have a client for much longer. They're going to see that as predatory and they're going to see it as dishonest. And a client never wants dishonesty in their home. With dishonesty, if you are in residential housekeeping, if you are in commercial housekeeping, if you are in any housekeeping, you have to be bonded. Have to. No, you don't have to if you're in housekeeping, actually. Interesting. But you do have to. If you are the only person who cleans the house, You still have to. Bonding is for, and we'll get into insurance on a completely different video, but bonding is not really necessarily your insurance. It's something separate that covers you from theft because, of course, your insurance does not cover theft. So you have to have something guaranteeing the client that if something important were to go missing, that you will be able to replace it. If you think that you will be able to replace something without bonding, have you ever seen how much some of these diamond rings are? It takes one lost diamond ring to end a company. Okay. Get a bonding. You don't pay for it monthly. It's one charge. Okay. It's important. Make sure the client knows that you are both insured and bonded. This is extremely important. This is what separates you from backyard housekeepers. Sorry, backyard housekeepers. Also, in your paperwork, you need to include things like when you plan on arriving, some of the rules for your employees, what they can expect out of your employees, who they can expect, and give them a brief description of your employees so they can feel like they've met them before they've met them. Okay, so in the end, you need to keep that speech part of it, despite what I just did, very, very short. There's nothing worse than a client when they start, they'd like you to leave. So these estimates, they need to take less than an hour. They really need to take less than 45 minutes, and they need to take longer than 20. So you need to have that sweet spot of about 30 minutes, and then you need to get out of their house because they. Also with that, just a side note on arrival times, so I don't forget arrival times. Don't be late. If you are going to be late, let the client know well ahead of time that something has come up. Nothing messes up something than being late because you never know if they are like penciling you into a very small schedule, and don't keep them waiting. Don't be early. So you can be like 5 minutes early. It's kind of like a job interview. The key is you can be 5 minutes early, but if you show up earlier than that, you have to keep in mind the client's probably cleaning before you get there, and they're probably cleaning right before you get there. So don't show up early. It will, embarrass them that their house isn't exactly how they'd like their housekeeper to see it, and it's kind of rude. If you say you're going to be there at 4, don't be there at 3:30. So that's awkward. Don't be there at 3:05 either, because that's also awkward. And own your estimates. That is the main key here. You have to own your estimates. Also, on a side note, and a little extra thing that I suggest to people is not only should you have the house price, as well as the house date. So if in an ideal world, the price that you give out to them is the price that they accept. So you can go ahead and schedule them. In order to do that, you need to proactively, like by the time I became an expert at houses, I was able to say, okay, Susie, so this is what we have. For the whole house, we're looking at, for your first maintenance cleaning, I don't let this price scare you. It's not your regular cleaning. This is the all-day scrub fest that I discussed earlier. So for the whole day, we would be looking at $875. Now, I know that seems like a lot, but your maintenance prices are significantly less. So if we were going to do the whole house, we would be looking at $260. Now, there's a ways to go about that if you weren't looking to do the whole house. I know that you mentioned that Johnny lives downstairs and he's rarely ever home. So another way to go about it is we could do the top 2 floors on a regular basis, say weekly, and we can do Johnny's level at, let's say, once a month, which would put your regular maintenance cleanings weekly at $178, and then for the whole house once a month, it would be back at that normal price that I mentioned earlier. That is how you want to go about it. Again, it's important to have your prices ahead of time. That way she already knows. And then that's when she goes, hey, that sounds great. Let's go ahead and do it. When can you pencil me in? Well, now you have to say, you know what? I don't know. So let me go think about it for a minute and I'll get back to you. Okay. Well, she did sign on and now you might have just lost her. So have her scheduled before you walk out of the house. Great. Now that you mentioned that, I actually already know that I have an availability on June the 4th. Does that work for you? Okay, great. And then I also have availability. So if we start you on the 4th, we can keep it going once a week on those exact days. So that will put you right at your 7-day schedule. How does that sound for you? Yes, we actually have you on, it looks like afternoons. have her already proactively on the schedule. You can always delete her if she doesn't sign on. So that's important. You need this to flow. If it flows, you get the client. If it doesn't, neither do you. Okay, so that's it. That's all. That's how you do estimates. These are my years of experience in estimating all wrapped up into one 25-minute video. I'm so sorry it's so long. Okay. Have fun. Go get clients. Go make money.